Last week was a massive week in the silver and gold market. Big news out of the Fed, but should we beware? Is there reason for us to be worried or cautious as silver and gold investors, or have we indeed turned the corner? We're going to get to the bottom of that in this video. What about the Golden Cross? Golden Cross. Have you heard of the Golden Cross? You likely have. We're going to talk about that. Very important, and it has to do everything with gold. Is the Fed funhouse on fire? I'm going to tell you what we mean by that as well. And if indeed the Fed funhouse is on fire, that means the price of silver and gold could likely be on fire as well. Is it time for us as silver and gold investors, platinum investors, whatever precious metal you're into? Most of us are into silver and some of us into gold. I happen to be into the gold mining stocks, but nonetheless, without further ado, is now the time for us to really be excited? Huh? We've been through the mill. We talk about that over and over. That's the past, the last 2.5, 3 years. Have we turned the corner? Is it time? Last week was up and down, manic. Let's do a quick review, right? The price of gold, the price of silver, up, down, up. I mean, hey, down on Friday. Crazy, crazy going on. Silver and gold tumbled on Friday. We're going to get to the bottom of it. But let's talk about some of the technical things first that are going on in the silver and gold market, because they do matter. I know we're not a technical analysis. Let's look at a bunch of fancy charts and weekly moving averages and blah, but we keep it simple. And when we look at it from a simple perspective, guys, we've got some good news, particularly with silver. Silver has been in a big uptrend on the weekly chart. That means looking at the weekly price of silver. And it held it this week. That's very, very good as we head into the end of the year and into next year, right? Because we know already, I can't help it. I got to pull it out because this is great news for you and me as well. I'll be quick. I'll try to keep talking. I will entertain you. I won't sing. Okay. I'm not gonna harp on this, but we've got that weekly close. This is silver from 1980 to 2023. If my mathematics are correct, that's 43 years. That is the world's biggest cup and handle pattern that you've ever seen. The cup and handle pattern is the most reliable, most predictable, and most powerful chart pattern. I'm not a chart guy, right? I keep showing these charts. Maybe I'm turning into a chart guy. I don't know. But when we got a chart like this, big cup starting in 1980 through 2011, the world's biggest cup and the world's biggest handle, right? And right now we're pushing up there. That trend continues on the weekly chart. It could be great news for silver. Absolutely. And you deserve it. All these people that say silver's nothing, silver's never going to go up. Ron, you say you're a silver pumper. Are we silver pumpers? I am a silver pumper. I'm going to type P. I'm going to type B. I'm a bumper, a believer pumper. Can you type B? Do you believe? Do you believe that next year could be huge for silver? Or is Ron C for crazy? You can type C, right? C or B, whatever you prefer. But I believe we've got good news coming in the silver. Now, one more thing, one more chart. Then I promise no more charts the rest of the show. But this is my favorite chart of all time, the wedgie, right? We look at silver just over, pull up. You can do this yourself when we're done. Go on to Yahoo Finance, click on silver, click on a 1-year chart. It's very easy to see. There was a wedge that was formed in silver, okay? This chart's a little bit out of date, but nonetheless, what we saw was that breakout, right? Remember? And then silver dropped back down, but there's a but. And we like, this is a big but. And I know you like big butts. You cannot lie. Nonetheless, silver broke out of the wedgie. What? Went up, came back down. Oh, that was like, what, Tuesday and Wednesday? It was like horrible. We were depressed. I was wrong. I said, I think I think we're in for it again. It's a 2/3 rug pull. And then we got the Fed on Thursday, and silver went back up out of that wedge, right? That's based on my Ron's Basement simplistic technical analysis. But had we broken down, we never broke down below the wedge. We went up out of the wedge, back down, and now we're back up again. And that, my friends, is a good thing for us silver investors. Don't you want to hear it next year? Huh? 6 months from today? 8 months from today, when I'm down here saying, well, guys, we had a pretty good week in silver. We closed at $42. Remember back in late 2023, we were thinking about that happening? Get ready, because I believe 24 is the year, okay? Something very else interesting is going on, and I'm not going to get deep into this, but the SLV ETF, yes, that's run by BlackRock, the world's biggest institutional investor. BlackRock put the word institution into institutional. Maybe you think I should be institutionalized. We're just having fun, okay? But BlackRock, world's biggest institutional investor. That's hard to say fast. No. SLV, they run the SLV ETF. There's some monkey business going on. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say this is massive, but we are seeing the holdings of the SLV ETF apparently start to creep up. And guys, it is so important. It makes us so happy to remember and realize that this is true for gold too. Gold is doing well. Silver is doing well. Silver is holding up, okay? And it's doing it in the face of a lot of people selling their silver. It's doing it in the face. When we get to world record gold again, I guess we got to do it again, right? Was that a dream we had a couple Sundays ago? Anyway, when we get to world record gold again and people do really start to wake up to precious metals like you already have, right? And we're going to talk about the funhouse being on fire. And I got a big Costco gold update too. This is a crazy show we're having. There's so much information we're going to talk about. But when that gold goes to world record highs, when they talk about it on the Wall Street Journal and Yahoo Finance and Bloomberg, right? And people start really pouring money back into the SLV ETF, when investors really start to buy silver again, and gold for that matter, right? Because remember, you and me, right? We're the few, we're the proud. I'm glad you're here, thank you. But we are a sliver of the population. You are not just ahead of the curve, you're ahead of the whole darn circle, right? The circle is everybody else. You're outside the circle because you're unique. You're something very unique in modern day America. You're willing to think for yourself. Oh my gosh, Gomer Pyle. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Yeah. And I mean that as the highest of compliments, all joking aside. You're willing to think for yourself. You're willing to listen to other news sources. You're willing to develop your own thesis regarding why silver and gold could save you, protect you, right? You're willing to listen to people like me. You're willing to listen to other people, and you're willing to use your own brain to develop your own thesis, which is so important, right? I don't say, hey, I'm wrong all the time. So is everybody else. We all come together, and thank you for being here. Hey, don't forget, I'm going to beg you one time, thumbs up. It looks like that. It's the button's like right around there somewhere. If you press that, that's like a virtual hug, and it's a nice thing to do. And who doesn't? Don't you always feel better after you do something nice for somebody? All right, let's get back to this. Big movements going on. Now let's talk about what happened Friday, because Friday was not a good day for the precious metals. But what happened? And we knew this was going to happen. We said this was going to happen. Yeah, it was the Fed. That's why, I forgot what my thumbnail said, but it's the Fed. I was like, are they joking? Are they kidding? Is this just a big joke, right? Because Thursday, Wednesday, whatever day it was, Jerome Powell comes out and says, oh, we're going to talk, dovish. That sent silver and gold flying. And we said it. We said it's always the same thing. Then a couple days later, all the Fed governors, right? I don't know what city you live in, but I live in St. Louis, Missouri. We have a Federal Reserve Bank. There's also one in Kansas City, San Francisco, Chicago, I think Atlanta, Boston. I don't know. There's a bunch of them. 12 maybe? Anyway, they all have a governor, right? Used to be in St. Louis a guy named Boulard or Boonard or something. Anyway, they send out these heads of these little Fed banks, right? Or big Fed banks, whatever you want to call them. They go to fancy lunches at economic clubs and the Harvard Economic Club and the Philadelphia, whatever. And they're like, it's a clown show. And we're going to talk about the funhouse, okay, real soon here, but it's a clown show. That's why silver and gold went down on Friday, because of the clown show, if you want to know the truth. Now, I'll just read this to you to give you the so we know you don't have to listen to me. You can listen to a real professional. This is from Tyler Durden. He says, Powell pivoted and everything exploded, right? Bonds went up, stocks went up, rate expectations, gold, oil, even cryptocurrency, right? Remember that was Wednesday. It was like, whoa, crazy, right? But then, here, let me just tell you, this is hilarious what these guys are doing. Okay. Okay, so then Williams, Bostic, and Goolsbee, those are three of the Fed governors. Here's what they had to say. Williams sparked chaos early on by directly contradicting Gomer Pyle's uber dovishness by saying, quote, we aren't really talking about rate cuts. That's what he said, right? So that was the first thing. I just think it's a bit premature to be even thinking about rate cuts. So Gomer Pyle says one thing, and then his top lieutenant says another thing pretty much directly afterwards. And I'm going to have a quick sip of coffee because it gets even better, and it's going to get even better. We got Costco, we got Kitco, we got a lot. There's a lot of news right now with the silver and gold market. So hold on, guys. Have a sip of coffee for yourself. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm back. Okay, next we had Bostic come out and said, I'm not really feeling that this is an imminent thing. We still need several months of enough data. Okay, and then Goolsbee was dovish. Goolsbee was on our side. Remember, dovish is good for the price of silver and gold. Said he expects rates to be lower next year than they are right now, but not significantly. He said, quote, we should be prepared to raise rates if we stop getting good news. And it looks like we're not on path to get down to the Fed's target. Okay. All right. So blah, 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 blah. Right. That's what killed gold and silver on Friday temporarily. Are you feeling it yet? I have to ask you, are you, I don't know if you follow, how closely you follow the gold and silver market, but there's this macro environment that impacts the price of silver and gold. And while we've been fighting for the last 2 years, I'm convinced that right now we have turned a corner when it comes to the paradigm, when it comes to the environment, when it comes to the environment in terms of conditions that are good for silver and gold, not the environment. When it comes to the general weather conditions, right? While we were, for silver and gold investors, facing like thunderstorm after thunderstorm and a chain of difficult weather events, now the skies are clearing. It absolutely is occurring, guys, and it's occurring right now. Now, that's just my opinion. Don't base any financial decisions based upon anything I'm saying, but I feel like we're not basing $45 silver. And it's not just us. I think JP Morgan, I was reading this morning with gold, is saying we could see $2,300 gold next year. It's gold and silver. It's a confluence. It's affected by these macro factors that are out there. The Federal Reserve, the economy, they all play together. The quote unquote value of the dollar. And I'm telling you, not everything, right? But we're moving into now where we had difficulty, we had a confluence, a coming together of a number of factors that were negative for the price of silver and the price of gold. And now those factors are shifting, and not every single one of them. And it's not going to be a straight rocket ride up, right? But generally, we are moving into an environment which is much more favorable for silver and gold. The S word, stagflation. stagnant economy with persistent inflation, right? We talk about the D word, depression. Could we be in for a depression? Nobody's talking about it, right? Nobody's talking about it. And usually those are the things that happen. What else is nobody talking about with us? Don't we feel lonely? I remember Rob McEwen, right? The old CEO of Goldcorp, one of the founding fathers of precious metals type guys, just a few years ago would talk about, if I remember correctly, $5,000 gold. Now, who's talking about $5,000 gold? Nobody. Okay? That's right when these things happen. That's right when possibly, and I'm not predicting it. So again, don't do anything crazy based on what I'm saying, but I'm just saying the potential is there. I'm predicting $2,600 gold next year. Okay. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. All right. But I think that we could be in for a shocker as well. All right. Like next year right now on whatever today is, December 16th, we could be sitting here saying, can you believe that like would we have believed a year ago that we could get $5,000 gold? And we'll say, yeah, we believed that it was possible because of all these factors coming together. So everybody is living in a fantasy world. Let's talk about the Fed funhouse, okay? It's a fantasy world. It's like everybody else. Remember, there's the circle, right? It's like this closed circle. And then there's us with a 1 in 300 that are outside, that are looking around and looking at what's really going on. And maybe occasionally we call into question what we hear on CNBC. Maybe occasionally you call into question what you hear on Fox News or whatever you watch, right? And you want to know the real inflation data. You want to know the real unemployment data. But everybody else is living in what I would call the Fed funhouse. It's smoke and mirrors. Yeah. You ever remember when you were a kid going to a fun house at a carnival and you go in and there's funny mirrors? Like they could actually make me look attractive, thin and muscular. You know, there's distort things and there's smoke fog machines. Everybody is living in this. They're asleep, right? Everything's good. Everything's great. And then, look, the economy's wonderful. It's Bidenomics. There's a whole room in the Fed funhouse called Bidenomics. You go in there, right? You don't get out until you find 3 jobs. It's like one of those escape rooms. Anyway, everything's great in the funhouse until everybody realizes, and this is powerful, so sit down, right? We're outside the funhouse, right? But everybody else is in that funhouse saying, hey, everything's great. I'm in the Bidenomics room. Look, I look rich. I'm doing great. Blah, blah, blah. Everything's great in that funhouse with the smoke and mirrors until they all realize that the funhouse caught fire. And then they all run for the exits. And where are you in the funhouse? I'll tell you where most likely you are. You're either already out of the funhouse. Right? This is not the funhouse. This is the basement. Okay? You can live in the Fed funhouse or you can be in the basement. So you're either outside of the funhouse or maybe you're standing right by the emergency exit because you're like, something's not right here. This doesn't feel right. Well, everybody else is like, oh, this is wonderful. This is great. Blah, blah, blah. Let me give you an example. Okay. Let's talk about an example as to why things are not good. We're not going to get into the details of the national debt or the deficit or any of that doom. We are in. We'll do it on a very high level. We are in an economic doom loop in the United States, and the world is shifting on us. They don't want to buy our debt anymore. We are in big, big trouble. I'm going to ring that bell 10 times. Okay, yes, thank you. Coin Drop Chris. You ever get that feeling that something just ain't right? You know what I'm talking about? Right. And you probably get that when you think about the economy. Something just ain't right. Thank you for all the thumbs up, by the way, as well, guys. And if you want to get your hands, yes, your hands, yes, you, on some silver, gold, or platinum, and you want to get the most for your money, I'd recommend you check out my favorite online bullion dealer and sponsor of Ron's Basement, Pimbex, Pimbex. I was their customer before they sponsored the channel. That's a fact. I did my homework. You do your homework. Throw them in the mix next time you're looking to buy precious metals. I think what you'll find is what I find. They check a lot of the boxes, all the boxes. Great price, great service, great selection. They're very fastidious about getting the orders to you, how everything is packed wonderfully. So check them out. And if you ever decide that you're thinking about converting an IRA or part of an IRA to precious metals, do yourself a favor and talk to Pimbex along with whoever else you might be, right? Throw them into the mix there as well, because you want to maximize the amount of metal you get, whether you're buying online bullion just for yourself personally, or if you're doing it personally for an IRA. Okay, now, where was I? Oh, yeah. Let me give you an example as to why the funhouse is on fire, right? So the United States, we know we have a debt to GDP of 130%. This is crazy. I just learned this. I'm going to share it with you right now. That's not you probably already knew that, right? And anything over 90% debt to GDP is pretty much you're past the point of no return. Hold on one second. I got to get up early this morning. A little more sip of coffee here. Okay. So the United States is past the point of no return. Did you know, because we're at 130% or 120, whatever, debt to GDP. What about the world? Let me pull you a little closer. What about the whole wide world? Huh? Do you know that we have debt in the world of like $307 trillion? You know the world GDP accounts to about $100 trillion. So that means that the world debt to GDP ratio is like 300%. But it gets even crazier when you recognize the fact, right, that a lot of that debt, when we talk about the United States debt to GDP, a lot of the debt, when you look at total worldwide debt that's out there, is nowhere near the supposed quality of the debt that we have in the United States, our treasuries. I mean, it is the Fed funhouse, the smoke and mirrors, right? Stay by the exit door at minimum, or just leave the funhouse altogether. I kind of feel like I got 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out, but I'm pretty much out, because when they yell fire and everybody else wants to rush out of that house, right? You know what they're going to be looking for? Yeah, I'm going to type it, right? GS. That's new code. We keep it simple here in the basement. Cap blocks. GS. If I'm going to ask you to do it, they're going to be looking for gold and silver. The fire alarm went off in the funhouse not too long ago, earlier this year, March and April, when we had a banking crisis. I see my friend Pat Hollins here. Hello, Pat. Thank you for joining the live stream. You're a favorite in Ron's Basement. And I think you're a dandy guy myself. But nonetheless, I was talking with Pat during the banking crisis. The Fed funhouse had a smoke alarm go off. Right? They were able to extinguish it real quick with a fire extinguisher. That was back in March and April during that banking crisis. People started rushing for the exits. What did they do? Do you remember? Do you remember back to March and April? Come on, Buttercup, you're not that old. I'm 53. I can remember March and April. I remember talking with Pat Holland. I remember talking over the weekend. Right? The Fed came in with their fire extinguisher, basically printed money, but they won't really admit to that, and saved everything. But what happened to silver and gold that next week? Remember, American Silver Eagles were selling for like $45, $50 each because you couldn't get them? Remember going to your LCS, your local coin shop, and walking in and thinking, I want to get some silver? I remember walking into mine and looking around. I'm like, whoa, they don't have any silver here. Right. That was a minor event. So just imagine what happens when the whole funhouse catches on fire. I'll stop using that darn funhouse analogy. Man, I'm so happy you guys are here. This is great. This is just awesome. Okay, let's talk about what Kitco. I want to read you what our friends at Kitco had to say. And then we got breaking news from Costco. Yes, our favorite subject here, Costco, because we've got the Costco barometer, and we got a big, big update that has everything to do with the silver price and the gold price. If you want to get some gold in the ground, right? I know if you don't hold it, you don't own it. I agree, okay? But to me, the next best thing is to have it buried deep in the earth and to own shares in a company that owns that gold buried deep in the earth. Check out First Mining Gold. They have 13 million ounces of gold buried deep in the earth. They're a development stage company. They got two of the largest development projects in Canada, Springpole in Ontario and Du Parquet in Quebec, which I actually visited, and then 4 other projects that they have an interest in or own outright. Altogether, they have 13 million ounces of gold in the ground. Now, mining stocks are risky. Anyone who's invested in mining stocks over the last number of years will tell you they are risky, right? They're a great value right now. However, I would have told you the same thing a year ago, and they became a much greater value over the last year. So they can still go lower, right? But they can also go much higher. So beware, know what you're doing. But if you are in the market for a precious metal mining stock, go check out First Mining Gold, firstmininggold.com. Let's talk about what Kitco. They put out some pretty good stuff. But let's talk about what happened this week from Kitco's perspective. Kitco says technically it was a constructive week for gold and silver, with gold prices trading back above the 200-day moving average, which is 2008. I didn't know that. Well, guys, we're becoming technical chart gurus, but that's a good thing. The 200-day moving average is the last 200-day average price. It moves every day. It gets adjusted. Gold went back above that, and a lot of traders use that as a barometer for where something is heading. And if a price is above the 200-day moving average, that's a good thing. And the upward sloping, this is where it gets interesting, 50-day moving average, which is currently 1,999, basically 2,000. Okay. Hold on here, which could trigger what is known as the golden cross. There's a word they use. That's when the 50-day moving average crosses the 200-day moving average. And these people, these traders that follow these things, that's a big positive sign. That could happen as early as next week. Resistance on the charts for gold remains at 2061, where any breach above on a closing basis would trigger the next wave of short covering, followed by fresh buying. Momentum studies are turning higher. Okay? With the stochastics, I used to know what that means. That's some other technical thing, but it's a good sign. Rising from oversold territory. Where's my line in the sand, ? Pocket support for gold between 2000 and 1990, where any close above 1990 would below 1990 would spark panic liquidation. We don't want to see gold go below 1990. We don't want to see silver go below $22 per ounce. Okay, we see value in adding to gold near the 200-day moving average. What could trigger a sell-off? Here's the bad news. Key Fed members could discredit the chances of a rate cut and indicate that inflation remains too high. Well, we covered that already. They already tried that clown show. Okay? In the future, as precious metals investor, monitoring speaking engagements done by Fed officials will be official. Right. We've talked, you basement dwellers that have been around here for a while, we talked about this, right? Jerome goes out, then the clown show. We already covered it earlier in this show as well. They send out the clowns, right? The Fed governors from each of these states, and they talk, they're squawk, bark, 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 and they talk about, oh no, we got to be hawkish. I don't care, because I know right now that this environment has changed for the silver price and the gold price. When it percolates through to the individual investor, both on the gold side and on the silver side, okay, it's going to mean big moves for the metals. Because remember this, this is, I'm trying to think of a good analogy for you, a good story, right? I mean, here, okay, let's say you have a son or a daughter that is on the track team at the local school. And every day the kid does the 100-yard dash. And every day they go out for a week to practice the 100-yard dash, okay? And the track coach checks the wind, and always makes your poor son or daughter run into the wind. And you live in a windy city, Chicago, I don't know, on the coast somewhere where it's always windy. And makes your kid practice the 100-yard dash running into a really strong wind, like a 20, 30 mile an hour wind. You're like, well, that's not fair. That's not fair, right? But when it comes time for the track meet, they get to run with the wind in their back. And that's what gold has been doing, and silver, right? I'm in that camp that really I consider $30 range to be the real all-time high for silver. Those couple spikes we had, that was great, but really, okay, if gold especially can get this new all-time high and stay there, close above 2,100, and it would have done it, and it will do it, right? Will it happen next week? Who knows, right? Anything's possible. Will it happen in the near future? I believe it will, and it will have done it in the face of a hard, strong headwind. It would have done it in the face of horrific sentiment. Nobody cares. And when that sentiment shifts just a little bit, okay, you know this, and we get just a few more people joining us from the investment perspective, it could be crazy. And if the funhouse catches on fire, well, who knows? Just who knows how crazy this could be. Please give this a thumbs up, guys. That helps a lot. That helps us get the news out. We got 300 people on a Saturday afternoon now. Well, afternoon here. Depends where you are. If you're out in California, it's morning. If you're on the East Coast, it's afternoon. If you're in the Midwest like me, it's 12:30. Okay? Now, we all need to say thank you to somebody. And that's each and every one of these moderators who are on here today. Please do what I'm doing. Give them some 8s. 8 is great, and 8 shows appreciation for the great moderators. This channel, this live stream is not possible without the moderators. So please, guys, Annie Oakley's here. Jake from Jake's Custom Parts. Coin Shop Chris. Who else is here? Jim M. Hello, Jim. Look at Original Intent. Leaf Johnson. Hey, there's Pat. Pat Holland, our favorite. I'm going to twist his arm and get him on the show next week for an interview, guys, okay? So it's just going to take a little improvement in sentiment for a big improvement. It's not a fair thing. A little bit of an improvement in sentiment is going to be a huge improvement in the price of the metals. Let's talk about, and I say like it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It's feeling, right? Your neighbors, right? Maybe they're being secret about it, but we got a big update. Okay, a massive update, and this was on CNBC, and a couple of you sent this article to me, so I appreciate that. This is on CNBC, so remember that, mainstream media. Costco sold more than $100 million in gold bars last quarter, and this is like super up-to-date breaking news information, okay? The Costco Chief Financial Officer Richard Galanti, he's our new friend, said Costco sold more than $100 million in gold bars. The 1-ounce bars typically sell out within a few hours after they're loaded to the Costco website. He said that back in September. They're still limiting customers to 2 bars, but here's the latest news on this. Breaking news. Costco found a hit with online shoppers. Gold. The retail warehousing giant sold more than 100 million of the precious metal in the fiscal first quarter, which just ended on November 26th. They've got a weird schedule at Costco. Apparently, their first quarter, so their first 3 months of their fiscal year, and they can pretty much set it whenever they want, end on November 26th. So that was just like 3 weeks ago. So they just announced this on Thursday of last week, I believe it was. He told analysts that during the company's earnings call on Thursday that they'd sold 100 million. Hey, thank you for the super chat. I forgot about super chats. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. We got 300 people here. We got super chats. Thank you, guys. Okay. And yes, Coin Shop Chris, I'm going to remind everybody right now, It's a big deal you're here, right? We're basement dwellers. We love to talk about silver and gold. We love to talk about legal tender legislation. We love Pat Holland. We love Coin Shop Chris. We love you, right? This is not Coin Shop Chris Tube. This is not Ron Tube. It's YouTube. It's a big deal you're here. All of my content is always free. Yes, I have sponsors. Yes, I'll talk about them, but I only talk about sponsors, companies that I work with or own or do business with myself. But what's important is please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you have, or you are going to subscribe, press the little bell. That way you'll get notified every time we put out a new video. Back to Costco. This darn, I tell you what. Okay. The 1 ounce bars typically sell out within a few hours after they're loaded onto the Costco website. The gold bars were listed at the price of $2,070 an ounce on Friday, higher than the latest spot price, so they're about $50 over spot. I don't know how that compares to your local coin shop. Excuse me. Customers are limited to 2 bars per Costco membership, making it difficult to build a real position in the precious metal. Members this is interesting. Costco members generally seem satisfied with their purchase, though, with a 4.9 out of 5 star rating on Costco's website and nearly 800 reviews. Okay, that's big. Some customers the only complaints they got were about state sales taxes, right? I mean, and that's what people like Pat Holland and Citizens for Sound Money are trying to eliminate throughout this country. Sales tax on gold? Really? Isn't gold money? How can you charge sales tax on money? That'd be like if you go to your bank with $10 bills and want to convert it to a $100 bill, and they say, okay, that's going to cost you $108 because we're going to charge you sales tax. I mean, gold is more money than paper. How can they charge? I don't disagree with these people that are upset about the sale, but that's not Costco's problem. Oh, here, this is CNBC. Spot gold prices have jumped about 12% this year. JP Morgan. Yes, that JP Morgan, the one that manipulates the price of gold and silver. So let's listen to what JP Morgan says. They're forecasting a breakout rally for the precious metal in 2024 with a peak of $2,300 per ounce. Well, thank you, Mr. J.P. Morgan, as interest rates are expected to fall, according to J.P. Morgan's Commodities Outlook published earlier this month. The investment bank said gold could retreat to $1,900 an ounce in the coming months, but that would set up investors to position themselves for a mid-year rally into 2024. Guys, can we please get to 200 thumbs up today? Please. Remember, it's right down there. At that point, I will ring the loud, obnoxious cowbell that makes everybody so upset. Okay, but I will give you a 3-second warning on that. CNBC then went on to say, this is CNBC. This is where Jim Cramer works. You know, Jim Cramer's a very, very smart guy, always looking out for the best interest of the investment community. Gold is on pace for a weekly gain after the U.S. dollar weakened and the Treasury yields retreated in the wake of the Federal Reserve signaling Wednesday that 3 rate cuts are in store for 2024. One important note on Costco's gold bars: they're not refundable. That's what I thought. Like, I know Costco has a great return policy. Like, could you buy a bunch of gold bars and then if the price of gold goes down, return them to Costco? No, they're wise to that whole trick. They're not going to let that one happen. Guys, we need 11 more thumbs up. Hey, thank you. Okay. It's a big deal that you're here, and bear with me 1 second. Don't leave. We got to talk about a couple quick things. I've been getting yelled at because I'm not talking about this enough. It's a big deal. 2 new segments of people are joining the silver and gold investing community. 2 big, growing, and critical, and it's awesome this is going on, okay? Number one, we got a lot more younger people who are getting interested in precious metals. That younger, I'd say like 30 and younger generation is flocking to the precious metals. I'm hearing that. Hey, thank you for the super chat, Michael Brown. I appreciate that, my friend. That is awesome. Thank you. So we've got younger people coming in. We need that new blood. So welcome to all the new younger stackers. A lot of them learned about metals indirectly from learning about cryptocurrency. And I think now, this is just my thought, a lot of them are realizing like silver and gold are the original cryptocurrencies. Right? We kind of knew that all along, but I think they're beginning to realize that as well. That's one big benefit that we can thank the crypto world is educating people on the downfall, the threat, the negative consequences of dealing with this fiat money system. But the other big growing area that we have right now are women, females joining the stacking community. There's always been women around, but the number of women, I think just the reality was that there were a lot more men who were into silver and gold than women. Let's say, well, I've been around this for 20 years, definitely 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And the number of women now, right? And there were some pioneers, not pioneers, but, you know, Lynette Zhang, right? Daniela Camboni and a number of other people as well. And a lot of women. But now there's more and more women. June 14th is International Women's Silver Day. That was designated by the board of directors of Ron's Basement. That's now officially been approved. We've talked about it before, but we want to welcome all the women. And I can tell you the viewership of videos on this channel by females throughout the world is exploding, okay? Is exploding. And interest, even in the United States, is exploding. We know there's a wave of legislation going across the country, state by state by state, right? Legal tender, gold and silver legislation. Missouri, where I'm sitting right now, right where my buns are. I'm going to ring that cowbell, Coin Shop Chris. Don't you worry, guys. I'm going to ring that bell. We're going to do a double ding, ding, ding-a-ling ring today. Jake's going to be proud, I promise you. But right where I'm sitting, right? Pat Holland, the Missouri Freedom Initiative, is working tirelessly. Go check them out. MoFree.org. M-O for Missouri, free.org. Okay? But we have the Citizens for Sound Money with Daniel Diaz that are working in other states as well. Florida, New Hampshire, just to name a few. We got stuff going on in Texas, right? A lot of the, I made the mistake of calling them what I consider progressive, which is not, we'll say innovative states, right? I mean, Florida, did you know Florida, right? The Sunshine State, that if Florida was its own country, it'd be the 15th largest country in the world. And they've got some like revolutionary things they want to do with gold and silver down there. And not revolutionary in terms of bad, like revolting, but going back to what the founding fathers put in the United States Constitution, that gold and silver, right? They put it in there for a reason. New Hampshire, I'm sorry, I always pronounce it wrong. New Hampshire is doing big things. And we got a lot of great people up in New Hampshire. Coin Shop Chris gets mad at me because I don't pronounce New Hampshire. And I'm always confused. New Hampshire, sure, war, Putin, whatever the case may be. But it's exciting, guys, these developments that are going on. And let's just, what do you think? What do you think? Let's just talk about Florida. Let's talk about Missouri. Think about New Hampshire, just those three states. But let's just talk about Florida, the 15th largest economy in the world. If they get this legislation passed, okay, and they have a state depository, and they're talking about doing a public-private partnership, have a silver and gold-backed currency that can be used, that's redeemable. We could see like a positive explosion in demand for the metals just at a time. We know what's going on with Costco. Heck, next thing we're here, Costco is going to be like, we're going to start our own gold and silver backed digital currency, cost bucks or something. I don't know. And remember this, because I get it, right? I love silver. Where's my piece of silver? I'm getting, Coin Shop Chris. Oh, I missed the super chat. Oh, shoot. I'm all screwed up. I got paper everywhere. I went and bought a new used ATV with my daughter this morning. It's a big mess down here. Anyway, I'm sorry I missed the super chat. Hold on. It is very important. But hold on. Technical difficulties. My middle name. Okay. Michael Brown. I hope that's the one. Thank you, Michael Brown, for the super chat. Now I'm all mixed up. Here. I got a piece of silver around here somewhere. Where the heck did it go? Here it is. I had the silver heart, right? I own that, right? If I don't hold it, I don't own it. Absolutely. But what these states are talking about doing with depositories, okay, is not going to eliminate our abilities to still stack whatever metals you or I may choose to stack in our own personal, wherever we keep it, storage area. It's not going to stop anybody from continuing to be able to hold their metal in their hand. And as a matter of fact, these depositories, if I understand it correctly, will likely be set up in a way, if there is a digital version of silver and gold offered by the state, that you can actually show up. Thank you for another super chat. Oh, man, let me move that. Metal Seeker. It's Bribenomics. Bribenomics. I like to call it Bidenom tricks, like TRICKS, Bidenom tricks, because it's all a bunch of tricks. It's not gonna eliminate you or prohibit you from continuing to stack metal on your own. Okay, it could only help the demand. I know in Missouri at one point, the legislation last year, so this was last year, but that a portion of certain funds of the Missouri, whatever surplus funds they have, would be invested into silver and gold. I mean, this would only help silver and gold, guys. It's very, very, very exciting. Yeah, I call it Bidenom tricks, right? Bidenomics. It's working. It's working so great that you spent $1 trillion more of our money, right? A trillion's a million times a million. You spent $1 trillion more than you brought in, and you were supposedly maybe able to eke out like 2% economic growth. Yeah, it's working. It's working great. Good job. Great job, right? Great job. I mean, come on, man. Bear with me. I had more I wanted to talk about. Do you like Rafi Farber? I like Rafi Farber. That guy is very likable. He does a show for Chris Marcus on Arcadia every week. And I think it was him. Somebody, I watch so much and read so much. Oh, I forgot to ring the cowbell. I'm going to ring it. Thank you, Coin Shop Chris. I apologize to all 350 of you who are here. When we get to 200 thumbs up, today is going to be a super ring for our friend Jake, because he loves the cowbell, right? 200 thumbs up. That helps the channel. That helps me. It helps my heart. All right, let's give it a ring. That's your 3-second warning. And one more for our friend Jake. I don't know if you noticed this, but I ring the bells in the bears' faces. Those are our bears, right? Gold bear, $2,500 gold. His blindfold comes off. Silver bear, Schmitty, named by our friend Pat Holland, $85. Silver, his blindfold comes off. And the platinum bear, $2,500. And his blindfold will come off as well. Okay, but I got to ring that bell in their ears, let them know that we're thinking about them, and their blindfolds will be removed when the metals reach their appropriate prices. Let's talk about the banks really quick, because that's kind of gone to the back burner. Guys, the banks are still in trouble. I'm hearing, let me back up. Rafi Farber. Funny guy, great guy, very smart guy. I really like Rafi. He was talking about the COMAC, or the LBMA inventories, the London Bullion Market Association, these inventory levels are still going down at these big BS electronic exchanges, right? We're not talking, we're going to have a silver squeeze. We're going to have just realize that the electronic versions of silver and gold are being backed by smaller and smaller amounts of real physical metal. Now, I've got a big interview coming out tomorrow with Vince Lanci. Super smart guy, right? His pedigree is unbelievable when it comes to the precious metals. And he brought up this point that now a lot of the like for instance, the Chinese silver refiners that are just screaming that we need more silver. We need more silver because, in case you haven't heard, demand for silver, especially from solar panels, is exploding. I mean, exploding. So what they're doing now is they're cutting deals. They're bypassing the big electronic exchanges. They want to get silver. They're going straight to miners in Mexico and saying, hey, just send us over your ore. We'll finish refining it. We'll make it into a finished silver product. It's a lot easier than dealing with the unicorn fart dust that we can get from London or New York, right? The COMEX or the LBMA. We'll just go directly to the source. Do you think, because a lot of people think that that's the straw that could break the camel's back in these electronic markets. Physical demand, okay? Absolute physical demand. And that is likely what we're seeing, right? We know that in China, the Shanghai Gold Exchange, right, which is a physical market, very little leverage going on, that the price of silver, the difference, has gotten as high as like 12-13% during the last few months. I don't know what it is. I don't have an update, okay? But there's been periods of time where the actual real price for real silver in China was like $2 an ounce more than in the West. And there, I don't know. I listened to these guys, Alistair McLeod, and talking about what's gone on in these electronic markets over the last 10, 15 years. It's a clown show. It almost feels like they're nearing their last, gasp to try to keep control of what's going on. So I don't know, guys. It's crazy. I mean, who knows what we're going to get next year, right? Now that inflation is under control, right? And now the Fed is loading their bazooka with rate cuts, right? But what if they have to cut rates next? Let me just throw this one out there. You guys, what's the S word? I want to see if anybody can put it up. What's the S word? Huh? What's the S word? Welcome, Coin Shop Chris. Hey, Pat. All right. Yes. The S word. I'm going to ruin it for you. Stagflation. As we head into 2024, right? If we get the economy, these lag effects are real. That are going to be, we just have like a freight train barreling down on the U.S. economy. It's not going to be pretty next year. It is not looking good, okay? So if they have to start cutting rates at the same time, then that could instantly set off in another inflationary wave, right? Because the Fed is in a box. The old Jerome Powell box. We're going to be in that stagflationary environment, similar to what we had in the 70s. It's been a week since I've said this. If you look back at the 70s, at how the silver and gold price performed, talking about $5,000 gold is conservative. Let's put it that way, right? Talking about triple-digit silver, like our old friend who I love. I don't know if you love him. Maybe you don't, but I have a great deal of respect for Keith Neumeyer, talking about triple-digit silver. That's what we can be heading into as we get into 2024. You guys are awesome, man. This has been a great. You got to watch. Hey, thank you, Frank. Clown sizing. clown sizing is a good description of COMEX pricing. I like that. Yes, good one. Thank you, Frank. Thank you for the super chat, too. Shoot, there was something I wanted to get at. Oh, hold on here. Bear with me. Oh. If you know who Vince Lanci is, you know how smart the guy is. It was a real honor for us basement dwellers that he joined me, and I'm going to put that interview out tomorrow. I think it's like 1 o'clock or noon Central Time. He talks about what's going on with the bricks. This is real. This is real, and it's real scary stuff. And I asked him this question. I said, is it especially particularly scary for us right now because the United States is in a position with our debt and deficits that really has only ever been matched during times of like World War or Great Depressions, right? That's where we are right now. We have a debt level like we have been through a World War or a Great Depression. That's where we're sitting. Congratulations. That's where our elected officials have gotten us. And now we're moving into an environment, right, where the world has changed in the last 3 years, like never, like hyper changed in these countries. More than half the world's population is kind of saying, thanks, USA, but no thanks, on many different levels geopolitically, but also like we've been able to live beyond our means. As Americans, this is the tough truth, guys. You want to hear the tough truth. We have been enabled to live beyond our means because the Saudi Arabians and the Chinese, right? The Saudi Arabians were forced to sell oil and dollars. The Chinese, right? Oh, sure, China, we'll give you all our jobs. We'll give you a bunch of dollars, but there's a caveat attached to that. You have to buy our debt. But now we're in this situation where we've got Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, all these countries saying, we're joining together and kind of standing up to you and saying no thanks. Maybe I'm wrong. And look, I'm a patriot. I love my country. I don't love what our leaders have done to us in the last number of decades, but that's just the reality of what's going on. We could see hyperinflation. We could see like unbelievable, difficult environments for the economy that, high inflation, with a stagnant economy, stagflation. We could see a replay of the 70s, right? Easily. And we're going into this situation with a boatload of debt, number one, and a slowing economy and a geopolitical situation like we've never faced before. I mean, everything always changes. But, what they went into in the 70s, we're in a much more extreme situation. Thank you for being here. I'll be back tomorrow. You guys are the best. Okay, have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.